hypothetically, if indeed the growth scenario plays out the way you are talking about, or maybe worse, if indeed the global slowdown is a bit more stark than what is currently envisaged. I mean, who knows what happens as a result of Credit Suisse or some of the other things that happen, right? So my question to you is, what if the global slowdown is a bit more stark and the growth assumptions are even worse than what you are envisaging? What's the impact then, Pranjul?
Look, I think the conversation will move dramatically and completely onto the opposite. Right now we are, at least on the RBI commentary, they were a little worried about inflation. They were not worried at all about growth. At least that's the sense I got from their commentary. I think that whole thing will change. I think it will become, growth concerns. And remember, when January starts, we are all going to be speculating, what's going to happen in the budget.
Yes.
And everybody will talk about, what can the budget do to increase GDP growth and, domestic demand. And I think that conversation, we don't think it's likely today, but, trust me, when things change, they change very fast. I think that will become the main conversation. And on the back of that, I don't see the RBI hiking rates in 2023. My sense is that September and December are going to be the last two rate hikes that we see. We've seen the 50 basis points in September. I'm expecting another 50 basis points in December, because in November, we are expecting a 75 bips Fed rate increase. So on the back of that, when the cycle is for large rate hikes still, I do think the RBI will deliver another 50 basis rate hike. But then when 2023 starts, my sense is the conversation will change to a large extent, and then we won't see, big rate hikes from there on.
And therefore, Pranjul, the reason why I wanted to check about this with you, that if indeed world over, the commentary shifts from being inflation worried commentary to growth worried commentary, and therefore the central banking tone changes, if it does, right? I mean, if US central banks changes its tone post November, wherein as Chris Wood wrote in his note, that the political leanings might be lower on the Fed at that point of time than what it might be right now, right? So my question to you is, if indeed the central bank tone and tenor changes post-November globally, and therefore back home in India as well, if indeed growth becomes a bit of a concern, what does that do, let's say, for example, to liquidity around the world, which seems to be in a stark withdrawal mode currently and may not remain so? At least the withdrawal may not be there, even if there is no large injunction of liquidity at that point of time.
Yeah. So look, I hear you that if that bulk of the rate hikes for most countries have happened in 2022, I agree with you on that. And even our house forecast for Fed rate hikes is one more 75 bips rate hike, then a 50 bip rate hike, then a 25 bip rate hike, and then pause, right? So it's not like constantly 75, right? So I hear you on that. But having said that, we are not forecasting, the Fed to start cutting rates.
Sure.
Nor are we forecasting that we are moving from QT to QE, Okay. So my sense is that maybe on the margin, liquidity doesn't get much tighter. But, at the same time, it's hard and almost impossible for me to say that liquidity will become any looser, that financial conditions will become extremely loose from there on. So I think the drivers will change, but we will be having conversations about growth, global growth slowdown. We will be having conversations about extremely volatile global risk on, risk off. And I think all of that will be, the main theme of 2023. But on the back of global growth slowdown, in the same way we were having these conversations in 2022, but on the back of large central bank rate increases.